We go. So welcome everyone to today's webinar presentation, but what I really would like to call it is a conversation. I am all about having conversations because I feel this is where we are going to access that, true purpose and being and spiritual side of who we are that is going to get us through all of these unbalanced times in life. And boy, are we living in a world filled with an imbalance, a major imbalance. And we see that every day. And I think we're just witnessing some news that's just coming out, and I don't even watch the news, but we can't help but hear it in the peripheral. And so we have a lot of very, very unfortunate things going on, and that can impact us, definitely our health and overall well-being. So bear with, I'm going to try to calm and come into my space. I was also worried about getting technology up and running, but here we go. I'm just welcoming those that are here, and I welcome those that are watching this in the recording. And again, my apologies for not having technology really fully prepared. I just wasn't expecting it. So let's go. Let's just get started. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. So I do have a presentation that I'm going to share with you. Again, it is just a template that is going to give us some kind of a guide for us to have a conversation. Even if we are not having a conversation in, real time, I want you to think about all of the things that we are bringing forward. And for those that are able to type in the chat and share a question or share a comment, I will definitely do my best to check the chat, but just know that as I'm presenting, I will not have full access or visibility to that option. So there we go. With all of that little bit of housekeeping and disruption, I'm going to share my screen and we will get started on today's topic, that is finding balance in an unbalanced period of life. And, we all have moments of feeling out of balance. That's just the human nature, right? We are human. We have lots of challenges and obstacles and resistance and all types of things coming at us that can create a loss of balance in our life. So what we want to work on is how can we start to establish a greater sense of balance. And so finding balance, in my personal opinion, is truly the key to living in a flow state. And that living in flow state is where you're just on this even road. You're feeling happy. You're just, life is just flowing, just as it says, flowing, that flow state. And it truly is being able to navigate all of these nuances of life that can come at us, and some of them can be quite challenging. But in the work that I've done over all of my years in this practice, is just how you start to strengthen the transition period, which is, from going from one moment to the next. What does that bridge look like for you? That is what I refer to as finding balance in your life. Are you able to navigate that the rope as you cross over into the next, situation that life brings to you? And there are many times that a lot of us can fall down and get caught in the cracks of those moments of transitioning. So this is what we're going to talk about today. And you can take a look at this scale and look at how you could see this as life, right? So is one side getting a little bit heavier and causing a little bit more disruption, where you have a little bit of a high on one side and a low, but our goal is to get it as balanced as possible so that then you are able to navigate with ease. That's what we're wanting, right? So how can we find that balance in our life? So this is not the best image, but at the end of the day, you can still see it. So I'm giving you a little bit of the guidebook that I have created here at Conscious Strong. I'm just going to move this little screen over here because it's getting a little in my way. So you can say this is the wheel of life that I use with anyone that comes in and works with me here at Conscious Strong. And there are different wheels of life out there. It's nothing new and nothing that I created, but what I did create here is one specific to the work that I do. My philosophy as a movement practitioner, and I've been doing this for a very long time, is that we must move no matter what. So we must move through all of these areas of life in order to see that flow state. So if we take the scale, which I'm going to go back, and we're seeking this balance, you can seek the same thing here in this wheel of life diagram. So this wheel of life represents your life. So I would ask for each of you that are here or those that are watching this, watching the recording, is that how would you rate each of these pieces of your pie, your wheel? How would you rate these on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being not so optimal, 10 being optimal. And very seldom are we ever going to stay here in 10. That's just not being realistic. So if you find that you're going, whoa, I am a 10, typically those 10s are just a moment that feels so good, but then probably start to settle down into maybe in between 7 and 9. And that, in my way of teaching, is that is a really positive place to stay. If we are less than 5, that means there's some work that needs to be done. That means your wheel of life is clunky. Probably struggling in some areas. And when I say struggle comes either emotionally or physically. And we look at the two working together, because as I said, that we must find movement. And I'm going to talk about this outer circle here in just a moment. So the work that I guide here at Conscious Strong is the foundation is key, and this is spiritual, emotional, and physical health. We must be in alignment with our spiritual side. This doesn't have anything to do with your religious beliefs. This has only to do with the belief in yourself, your purpose, your being, feeling comfortable with you, being comfortable with being alone. Most often we find that we are in situations where we're just not confident or comfortable, or we just don't know who we are. And I see a lot of folks, especially women, stuck here, and not just knowing what their purpose is and who they are. And it changes, right? We know it changes with each phase of our life. Then we look at our emotional baseline. Do we know what that emotional baseline is? Sometimes there are many of us that live in a constant state of fight or flight, where that sympathetic nervous system, to bring a little bit of that neuroscience talk into it, where it kicks in, but it's always in gear. And very often we don't know that we're in that constant state of fight or flight or stress, where you're really, excreting a lot of cortisol, which can cause a lot of stress on the body, the physical body. And then that's when we move to the physical. So I always work with the spiritual, emotional, physical in the beginning of any of the practice, no matter however you work with me. Or if you don't, this is the very first thing that you want to focus on. And that's in the guidebook that I've just finished up as well. So, and then we look at nutrition, sleep, relational health, and financial health, because these all play such an integral role in how we function and run smoothly. Now, you see the outer circle. I bring in, these are actually the Pilates principles. I've added one of my own, where we have centering, and when we have concentration. I've got to move my over here. There we go. Now I can see everything. So breath work. So we have breath, centering, and concentration. Those are really key. Breath has been the most challenging exercise I've ever had to teach, right? We take it for granted. It's just an automatic, natural act that our amazing human body design does for us and keeps us alive. What I find is that the breath is not taught well. We don't understand how to use our breath to help move us. And that is always the very first exercise, which is movement, that I bring into any of the work that we do here. Then we go deeper into how can you start to bring in the centering, the 3 C's, we call it, especially in the Pilates world, is centering, concentration, and control. How do we start to build this relationship with these principles of movement, and incorporate them into everyday life experiences? And that, my friends, is what we guide here at Conscious Strong. And that's just my love and what I've been working on for many years. So this is just a snapshot, and I would like for you to snapshot it, whether you can screenshot, and have this wheel of life with you. And I'm one that I ask everyone to that does kind of cross my path is that you do this daily. Some say do it once a month or a quarter, check in. How's your life humming along? I ask that you glance at it daily because we are constantly changing, constantly. We know that second to second. So, not saying you need to obsess over it or it just being a part of like, oh my gosh, how is my will? And am I doing this? Like last night, boy, am I sleeping better. Whew, finally, I had a life move that we're finally back in our home. And past 2 nights, I've slept better than ever. So this is how I'm saying, looking at it. So, but if you have disruptions that might disrupt maybe a relationship that you have with a family member or your partner, and then we have finances that are constantly possibly fluctuating. So just, you see what I'm just giving a few examples. So that's the snapshot of the wheel of life. I want to just introduce myself for those that don't know me. I'm Lauren McLaughlin, and I have been a master certified Pilates instructor for going on 20 years. Hard to believe that, but yes. And I'm also brain health certified. So I really got intrigued with brain health and neuroscience and the why behind we do all the things we do. But the big thing is that it was more about the why behind what I was witnessing as a movement practitioner and seeing when it was done right. I called it the magic. It was when that magic happened and there was a burst of true connection. You could just see the whole body soften and the eyes soften and the body grow taller. That was what just got me excited. So that's just a wee bit about me. So I'm going to share just some thoughts that I have here at Conscious Strong. And I would love once again to hear anyone, if it's by just putting in the chat or once you watch the recording, to please reach out. Let's have a conversation about this. And for many of you that are not a part of the Conscious Strong Women's Movement, it's a private Facebook group. Even if you're not a Facebooker, I invite you to come and join that group because it is where I really put a lot of this information. So just I can put in the chat once this is over, the Facebook group. So, or you can look it up. It's the Conscious Strong Women's Movement Facebook group. And that's where I put a lot of this juicy stuff, I'll call it. All right. And I hope that I have everyone's permission that at the end of this, I'm going to share some ways that you can possibly work with me if that seems to be a desire, or if you would like to know more. So if I have your permission, I'm going to just say I will be sharing a couple of ways that you can work with me at the end of this presentation. All right. So let's just move right along into why is finding balance so important? And that may seem like, well, that's a no-brainer. We need balance in our life. But really, why is it so important? It is what keeps us, as we were saying, in that flow state, is what keeps us, if we want to just go to simple language, it keeps us sane. It keeps us in the moment. It keeps us, having healthier conversations versus it being in that fight or flight. We all know, and as a human, I know I've been there many times and I don't like it when I go there, probably related to rearing all my kids. But I don't like it when I lose my temper, and I very seldom lose my temper. But that is just one example of losing balance and losing that moment. We can allow that emotional state take over and send us very quickly into a place where we usually, once we settle down, we come around and we come back and say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, or ooh, I did not want to say that, and I wish I wouldn't have. And this is what finding balance is all about, and why it is so important, so it doesn't have us fluctuate into those moments where we have to say, I'm sorry. I think anytime that we feel that we need to come and apologize for maybe something we said or an action that we took, that is what we want to try to eliminate, because the most toxic emotions are guilt and shame. And we know that we can all carry a lot of that around, especially if we lose our cool and we get out of balance. So there's just one example. But what it also impacts is our physical health. So our physical well-being is so directly tied to whether we are in balance or not. So you can even take that into balancing your body. Stand on one leg and then close your eyes. Woo, that one will throw you off. So we look at both. We look at our emotional balance. We look at our physical balance and how that all starts to relate back to, and I'm always one that has to go back to this piece, right? To our will of life. And we are constantly working, trying to work. I know, I don't like the word work. I know it's like we're trying to guide ourselves into this state of balance. So we have the awareness. And I'm going to speak a lot about that as we continue through our talk time here. So then we have the quality of relationships. If you're not having quality relationships in your life, we've all heard that. You walk into a room, you know immediately if there is like, woof, this is a cold room. I am not really feeling good in here. Something doesn't feel right. Or maybe you've had an exchange with another person and you have just felt, oh, that energy, it was really hard to be around. So this is how you start to navigate relationships and understanding how you can then respond in those moments, even when you are in a room filled with what may feel toxic, or you're having a conversation with someone whose energy just is not connecting with yours. It's you finding your skill set to be able to manage through those situations, right? Maybe it's just maybe it's calming the other person down, right? So how can we read the other person? And it's very fascinating to understand personality types and how you can communicate with one person, but need yet to communicate very differently with another person. So relationship, the quality of relationships, it's extremely important. Your personal growth, right? Feeling balanced only helps us make room for growth. If we are too cluttered, if our database is filled and overflowing and we're frazzled and everything's firing, hair's on fire now, I've been in those states many times, is that it's very, very, very difficult, next to impossible, to grow, to expand your mind, to be able to learn a new language. I'm trying to learn the Italian language. And I know in those moments when I am really running around with my hair on fire, there is no room for learning. There is zero. So it's again finding that balance. And then, of course, we want to reduce our stress and just overall long-term happiness, right? That is again our flow state, being in rhythm. I just did an episode on my podcast, The Other Side of the Studio, with Dr. Gladden, who is the founder CEO of the Gladden Longevity Institute. And his is the 100 is the new 30. So we all want to live to be 100. I had somebody in one of my classes the other day. She said, I want to live to be 105. So I ask you, maybe right now, like, what is your number? What is your number? I'm going to pull a little bit from that episode. So if you want to live to be 105, like this client that shared that 2 days ago, I would be grateful to live to, let's say, 103. But what do we need to do in order to get there? And so Dr. Gladden's advice was, or what he practices, is that every day his age that he desires to be is 27. That was an optimal year for him. And so every morning he wakes up and he says, I'm 27. And if I don't feel 27, what do I need to do in order to feel 27? And that is a beautiful way to look at it, right? So that'll keep us going. So again, that is what balance, or why balance is so important, so that it can help us get to that whatever age you desire to be. Because if you're out of balance, we know that life is not humming along and it's not feeling good, right? So The big one, stress and overwhelm. Stress and overwhelm. Now, we have all felt stress and overwhelm in life. That's just part of the human experience. We cannot avoid stress or overwhelm. But just as we have been sharing, is that if you are already in the state of fight or flight, if you're already elevated, even when you don't know it, your stress hormones are already at a very high level, this stress and overwhelm can totally throw you off, right? We all know someone that has had this happen. I'm sure we all have, right? If you turn to your right or left, you're going to know someone who has really not been able to fully manage stress and overwhelm. So again, it's going back to being able to find that balance so that you can manage it. You can manage whatever comes to you. And we can say this kind of very blunt signage that I got from a conference one time is a big hell no. We don't want it in our life. So we are going to find whatever tools we need to support those moments that are very stressful. So I would ask you, pausing right now. So each of these steps that I'm going to be sharing, and I do have 7 steps, and I'm going to try not to talk. Well, I do talk a lot, but and it's just me here talking to or with you today, but not as an open conversation. So you are going to hear my voice, but I'm going to ask for each of these steps that I will go through quickly as possible for you to pause. Maybe you close your eyes right now and you think of those moments where that have been stressful, that you've had to deal with some news that was not very pleasant. Maybe a family member is ill, or maybe you just think of what situation in your life has created a lot of stress and anxiety and overwhelm. Those moments where you just feel like, wow, am I going to be able to get through this? And then as you start to discover a moment that you've experienced a lot of stress and overwhelm, then I'm going to ask for you to maybe, if you do happen to have a pen and paper with you, you can jot it down. Or if it's a mental note, think about it. How did you respond? How did you respond in those moments when you were, faced with a situation that created a lot of overwhelm in life? And is there anything that you could have done differently? Is there anything that you could have done differently? Could it have been just a choice of words? Could it have been just an action that you took? Did it have you freeze? That is most often what I have seen and have experienced personally, is that there's that freeze, like freeze, I don't know what to do, paralyzed, deer in headlights, not able to take action or have any sense of reasoning. Yeah. So we know that we have either experienced ourselves or we have known someone very close to us that has experienced those moments where it's just a complete shutdown. So what if we had ways that we could kind of help ourselves get out of that? And who can take a guess when I'm going to say that one of the best ways that you can deal with stress and overwhelm? I don't know if you can guess. So I'm known as the breath lady. There's a cue, there's a little hint. So breath work. Breath work is huge. Breath work we know is our best medicine and it's free. We just don't know how to use it. But if we start to incorporate really powerful breath work in those moments that are overwhelming, you're going to immediately feel some sense of calm. You're going to come out of that deer in headlight or frozen state. The next thing that I would ask is whatever you're doing in the moment you're overwhelmed is to get up or sit down. Maybe you do both. You stand up or you sit down, stand up and sit down, or you just get up and walk around. Then thirdly, the third little tip I'll give here is that you step outside. Step outside, even if it's raining. I can tell you walking in the rain and feeling the water, the rain just drop on you can really give you a sense of release, I promise. So just these are some simple ways. They sound simple, but in those moments when we are really in that fight, flight, and overwhelmed and frazzled, it's very difficult to go, oh, yes, I'm going to get my breath. I'm going to go to pause for just a moment. Yes, absolutely. Getting outside is the best way to release any of the stress and overwhelm. Nature has it's our free medicine as well, right? So we have breath and nature. What else do we need? We are now our own medicine, thanks to our beautiful Mother Earth. All right, so here we go now to the next one. Step two is our physical health. So I've been already sharing a lot that physical health is key. We have to move our bodies. Doesn't mean that you have to look like the, ripped bodybuilder or whatever Instagram image is showing you. No, it's even quite opposite. Physical health is truly being aligned with your physical being, not what it looks like on a magazine or in a magazine or what you think you should look like. No, this is about you really loving this beautiful physical body that you have. Because once we are able to have that self love and not despise, oh, I can't look at myself in the mirror. I don't like what I look like anymore. Ooh, this role, I don't like it. We all go through those moments. I do. I'm kind of at one of those moments right now going, I need to really boost up a little bit more of my own movement. But I love my body. Like I love this physical body that God gave me. Like whatever your source you want to turn to, this is a gift, right? Our physical being, and we must nurture it and love it and not despise it because we think we should look like something else. That to me is physical health. Then, you guys, we can start to implement a little bit of, yeah, we do need a little cardiovascular work. Yes, we do need to do a little weight training, especially the older we get. I was having a conversation with a client this morning, is that yes, the older we get, we need to do more of this really balanced weight training, because that is what is going to give you that longer life to get us to that 100 plus whatever age you desire, or to feel like you want to feel at the age of 27. My age is 31, by the way. It just came quickly. Said I want to be 31. So I'm 31. There we go. I'm 31 now and for always. So, but it requires us being in tune with our physical side. But the only way to get to really quality physical movement is to do exactly what I was sharing just a moment ago, is find that purpose, who you are, that love for your body. Because if you go into any workout, and I'll say exercise program, you go into the gym and you don't like your body and you are frustrated, you just had a bad day, name a few more, then your workout really is almost doing you more harm. It is. It's doing more harm if you're going into a movement practice feeling out of balance in your body and mind. So, first act always is to align with your purpose, who you are. Love yourself. Love yourself. And that's very, very difficult for many people to do. So, if we want to look at some exercises that we can take to start to build this foundation for the physical health, guess what it is? Guess what? Yay, breath work. So, breath work. So, as a matter of fact, for everybody that is attending or watching, I will have in the notes or in the future chat, I will have a link to a breath work exercise. And there are numerous out there. You can YouTube one and find one that resonates with you. But really establishing a relationship with your breath and finding that right breath work exercise, key. Again, it's your medicine, and that is the foundation for then this future physical work that you'll be doing. All right, so breath work and once again, you'll probably hear that quite a bit, and especially with emotional well-being. So step three. So as I was sharing earlier in the Wheel of Life, our emotional health is key. So emotional health, understanding your emotional baseline. I'm going to have to go back here, you guys, to the not to the Wheel of Life, but to here. So our emotional baseline is exactly like this. If we're on the swings of highs and lows and highs and lows of our emotions, well, we know what that can be like. I don't know if any of you have raised girls, and I'm a girl, and I remember, and I had two sisters. And I'm not saying, guys, you don't have this either. I'm not saying that, but something about the makeup of us, of the female, we really can have some emotional swings and quite, some that it can be quite loud, especially when we're going through some hormonal changes. And so we do, as a female species, we have a lot of hormonal swings that can have our emotional well-being feeling completely out of whack and out of balance, whether you are, going through puberty as a young adult, or if you are now in menopause, perimenopause. We know that the fluctuation of our hormones can really throw us off on an emotional roller coaster. So how can we start to establish that balance of our emotional scale? Breath. Breath is truly, again, I'm going to bring that back into it. I really wasn't planning on bringing the breath into every single module here or step, but let's bring breath forward. I'll also integrate a little bit more other exercises as we move along through these steps. But the breath work. So our breath is powerful. Let's all take a deep breath together. So uncross your legs. I had to uncross my legs. So uncross your legs and have your feet on the ground, or even if you're standing, if you're needing to be, upright and vertical. I understand we sit a lot, so sometimes I prefer to stand. But I want you to feel the feet grounded. Now, the inhalation is through our nose. So we're going to inhale deeply through our nose. Close your eyes. I always like to close my eyes. And I want you to take in so much air. It may make you cough. It may make you feel a little dizzy. So just warning, if this is new for you. But take in as much air as you can. And I want you to go all the way down to your navel. Just imagine, just imagine. Or you feel the rib cage expand. All sides, all four sides, your back, sides, your front. And then deep exhale. I actually want you to hear yourself because I don't have everybody on sound, but let all the breath out. Let's hear your breath. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale through the nose and a powerful exhale out through the mouth, as if you're trying to cough that last bit of breath out. Inhale through the nose and an exhale out through the mouth. Now, who felt the little heat wave? We called it the internal shower. Did anybody feel that internal shower and gave you a little tingly feeling, or maybe what felt like, oh my gosh, am I having a hot flash? No, you're feeling what is that internal shower because we have likely triggered your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve, the free floating nerve, the nerve that is just so wonderful that can help us feel so good. That's what we're tapping into. So in those moments, like we were saying, if you're in fight or flight and you stop and pause, you step outside, but then you start to integrate this deep breath work, you're going to find your emotional baseline come down. Because if again, our emotional baseline is too high on that thermometer, it's going to constantly have you feeling on edge, alarmed, worried, feeling a threat, feeling like somebody's always trying to get you or somebody's taking advantage of you. That is not a very healthy way to live. No. We want to trust. We want to bring it down. And so that is what taking that breath work, moving your body just a little bit, can bring you back into an emotional state of well-being. All right. So again, any questions that you have along the way or comments, please feel free to drop any that you have, even if you're watching this recording. All right. Now we talked about relationships. So some of my favorite lovely people here that I've just adored working with. So healthy relationships are the heartbeat. So we are hearing a lot, I think, now as a community. I think we're all sensing community, and that's nothing new at all. But I think we're understanding as we move through our centuries that community has such a huge role in how it supports us as a human. And it truly is the heartbeat of us. And that's my love here at Conscious Strong, is building a very strong, safe community where we can be expressive and we can share our worries and concerns and have that support. Because if we don't, and we lose that heartbeat, then that's when we're really probably struggling in life. We're isolated, we're feeling lonely, we don't feel connected to really anything outside of us. And for that matter, we don't feel connected to ourselves, because it truly is the heartbeat of your pathway to finding you. There's just no possible way that we can make it on our own. And so, is it Willis? I forgot, it was the Tom Hanks movie that was Stranded, or forgive me, I'm throwing this is out in the moment. But his best friend in his community became the found, I think, soccer ball or some kind of a ball. So sorry, I'm not getting my movie trivia really spot on, but you get what I'm saying. But he had to have something to have a conversation with. So, we don't want to have to resort to having a thing, and we certainly don't want this thing. No, this is not a good friend to have as a relationship. We actually want to put that down, a device, and have it more relational, even if it is talking to a made up person. If you're in that moment, if you're stranded on an island by yourself, hopefully you are not. And you have the ability to start to make connections and build relationships with others, because this is what is going to support you. So, an exercise that I would ask for you today is to list 5 people that you would like to reach out to, even if you haven't in a long time. I know that I have a host of friends from high school and earlier that we were very close, and I don't talk to them much anymore or at all. And I'm sad about that. So I know I can already list at least 5 of very, very close friends that I probably haven't spoken to in well over 10 years. And so it doesn't mean that we have to connect to the entire universe. That is not realistic. But it is starting to establish who are the people that could fill you up and be in that heart circle of yours, right? We have many online communities. Conscious Strong is a community. The Conscious Strong Women's Movement is a community. And you have your communities, whether it is in your church or whether it is in your community that you are part of. Think about who those people are that actually fill you up. Who are those people in your life and in your intimate circle, and then go outside of that, that make you pause and smile? Like, wow, when I think of her, when I think of him, whew, I kind of feel happy. I feel very happy. Those are the people that you want to start to connect with. And that goes back to that relationship piece of how to start to establish and read yourself, have the awareness to know who energetically is a good energetic source for you. And that is a definite skill to learn. I'm sure that many of us have had moments where you've entered in a relationship and you go, whoo, where the hell, whoo, that was not right. Doesn't mean that person is right or wrong or bad or good. That's not what I'm saying. They're just, we are all very unique and we all have our own energetic expression, and we're not going to get along with just everyone. We can do our best to respect everyone and have courtesy, but we understand that, right, as adults. So just really being able to start to read the person that is in front of you, and is it a good source and a good heartbeat for your community? Okay. All right. Step 5. Woo, a big one. Financial stress. Now, who has experienced some financial stress in life? That again comes with the human experience. Especially as of late, we have seen all the effects that we had, even just with the pandemic. Look at what happened. It threw things topsy-turvy. We had, retirement accounts that just went to zero. Jobs are lost. We lost income. We are starting businesses and we are stressed over trying to figure out how we're going to navigate the financial piece. What we don't realize is how financial health, financial stress in particular, has a huge impact on our entire being. It affects everything, right? As we know, what are the top things? We have financial, and we have money, and we have, maybe, is it having a child or a move? All of these major stressors that we can have in our adult living, or even younger. I have young adult children who are really stressed, very stressed about money, very stressed, almost to the point of it being like breakdown of not knowing if they're going to be able to navigate their future, their financial future. It's scary. And then those of us that have reached maybe our middle age and beyond, is that, man, now we're looking at retirement. And so I was teaching a class the other day, and I have a dear friend, but he's in the class, Steve. I said, well, yeah, did you know that 100 is the new 30? And he went, whoa, wait a minute. I may outlive my resources. And so that is a real stress, and something to maybe have some concern about. So really understanding your financial picture. But as I always say, always know that there is a way. Always know that is a way. I had to have that conversation with my daughter. That there is a way that you can navigate and get out of whatever is scaring you about your financial health, so that you can take that step forward. And that is, what am I going to tell you? It's not breath work. It's not breath work, but your breath is going to help calm you down and bring you back to that calm state of balance, so that then when you do go reach out to a community, relationships, where they can help navigate that financial picture and give you a sense of calm. We are here, we're living, we're breathing, and there's nothing that we can't overcome. And this is just a big one that I hear a lot of, from every age, every age. Okay. So breath and community are going to help you move into this. Knowing who that right person is key. All right, moving along. We're now balancing it all. Don't you love how I'm just sitting there looking like I'm just balancing everything? So what I'm going to share about this picture, because I find it a little kind of funny, because this reminds me maybe of being a child. And I remember it's like, just sit up and be, just be nice, be a pretty girl and just sit still. And yeah, that way we're pretending that we are balancing, when inside there could just be crying and feeling so out of balance, and just not knowing what to do about this picture, like my daughter, and feeling like, but yet we were all maybe told at one point in our life, well, just pretend to look like everything is going just fine. And I'm going to tell you, that is not the answer to balancing it all. Pretending is not going to help. That is actually going to make it worse. So balancing it all is, yes, juggling all the balls, all the responsibilities that we have in life. And sometimes those balls fall. Sometimes it looks ugly. Sometimes we are down rolling around trying to gather all the balls. And maybe in those moments that we're rolling around trying to navigate finding all the balls, we're crying in the middle of it, or maybe we are yelling. Maybe we're so frustrated. I know that my go-to when my kids were really young. So I have 5 children, and I had them all, like, they were 10 and a newborn. And I no doubt had moments of going, oh my gosh, I'm not going to know if I'm going to make it to the next day, or will my children be alive? And my go-to was going to the car wash. How you drive through and it's just, there's loud, nobody can hear you. So kind of the same as sing in the shower as if nobody knows you're in there. Dance like nobody's watching, all of those things. Well, mine was the car wash, and I would go in the car wash, and maybe I cried. Maybe I had an opportunity just to yell, just to kind of yell and get that energy out. So balancing, in my view, is finding just that. What place, what exercise, what can help you feel like you are now finding some balance in your life? because pretending and shoving things aside, turning your back to it, is not going to keep you in balance. Your will of life is going to suffer. But if you face it, and let's all be transparent and be open in that wonderful community that you now have, right? We all now have found our community. This is where you can start to bounce ideas off of someone. And through conversation, I don't know if you know, but yes, that is even proven that in conversation, you're actually mirroring yourself, right? And so you're going to likely find, number one, that sense of calming down, if it's an appropriate or a healthy relationship or conversation, you're going to find yourself coming down, but then you're just going to probably find that answer that's going to go like, okay, I feel good. I feel balanced. So that high wire act here, yeah, that is demanding our best efforts as we juggle the diverse roles and responsibilities that life presents, may not always be pretty, but just know that it takes really getting back on that high wire, getting back on, and trying to put one foot in front of the other is going to take you back to being balanced. So breath work, finding some alignment movement, right? Finding some core strengthening exercises, right? I'm starting to talk a little bit more movement side of it here. Finding any of those exercises and along with your breath work that will help to access that vagus nerve. That's a whole nother like presentation in itself because it's very fascinating and beautiful. But that's what's going to help you start to find this ability to balance all the things that you have. Another piece is saying no. If you that is just simply awareness. Knowing that you're already juggling, and some of you watching and who know me, I've been known to have 100 balls in the air, really flying, and then some are dropping, and I'm on the ground doing the crying and trying to find them all. But if we know that if we step back, we ask ourselves, do I have time capacity? Do I have emotional capacity to take on that next volunteer or that next job or that next client? And sometimes it's no. Sometimes saying no is the best answer for everyone. And that is just really having the awareness of when your plate is too full. Okay. All right, we're now at step number 7, and this is all coming in to circle around to mindful living. So I've said this word throughout, I think, every step, awareness. So mindful living is just simply being able to live in the here and now, not yesterday, not even an hour ago, and not looking out into the future. It's being here right now, present with your breath, right? The very first act to bring us into the here and now and in the present is breath work. So our theme of today is your exercise is to really fully master is breath work and finding the breath work that works for you. But that is true. So mindful living is what is our light, our pathway. It is what helps us. It helps to navigate us to that next thing. It is what helps us to strengthen the bridge between the point A and point B, where if the bridge is really weak, we fall down, we cry. Sometimes it's very, very hard to get up, and we need support from something to help us get up. But if we are living in the here and now and in this mindful, aware state of awareness, that is when your bridge, that transition, is going to help you get to the other side. And I see this in movement, right? When we transition. So actually, Joe Pilates, that was one of his key points, is that the transition between one movement to the next is more important than the actual movement that was happening and that you're moving to. That transition is what is most important. How are you getting on and off the equipment? How are you getting up off of the floor? Are you able to get up off of the floor without hurting? So just to start to think about, yes, the physical side of it, your movement side of it, how is your body responding? But then how is it responding in everyday living, right? So how are those transition points? How's your bridge, right? That is what is going to bring you this fulfillment against any of the challenges that we've been talking about, those obstacles, the debris that comes our way, and we just can't avoid it. We may be able to move to the side, and that's what the skill is being able to navigate so that you can shift, so that maybe that something flying, I'm not going to even say what I was about to say, just because that is not a very positive topic as of today, especially with what news is sharing. But you're dodging the arrow that just might be pointed at you, right? When you're able to have this mindful, aware state of awareness, you're going to be able to very quickly dodge some of those moments that may be thrown at you. All right, that is number 7. So now is the key to maintaining maintenance, just like your car. We need to maintain our car. So just like the wheel of life, I'm not going to go spinning all the way back to the beginning of this presentation, but that is how you can really start to hone in on your maintenance plan. Maintenance, as we know, is key. We can't master something. Let's take a language. You can't learn a language enough to be able to have, decent conversation and then never have a conversation. You're going to lose it. The same applies to this whole approach to mindful living, this approach to moving your body. We all know that if we don't move our body and get appropriate movement, we are going to have something show up on us or in us that we have no desire to have. It may come from a physical, oh my goodness, I've got a muffin top now. I've got bingo arms. I don't want that. Or it may show up worse, like disease, right? So maintenance is key, but your maintenance plan is your maintenance plan. And so the exercise that I'm going to leave with you today is going back to that wheel of life that hopefully, and if you didn't take a screenshot, all you have to do is reach out to me and I'll send you the PDF. I'll send you the PDF regardless to anyone who is watching. So going back to that on a daily basis and being able to get comfortable with it and being able to very quickly determine how are you showing up each day. That is the first step to developing your maintenance plan, because we're all different. And that is going to help you discover like what movement modality is best for you. What strategy do you need in order to get to that nutrition plan that is best for you? How are you fueling yourself? It's not in the next fad book. It's not. None of the diets, no, we do not talk diet. We don't talk fads. We don't talk trending. This is you, and how do you nurture your being? And we, with that newfound awareness that we now have, that is what is going to help you navigate all those areas, including that nutrition side. So it does take work. It's not something that a pill or something quick or a magic book or the next video or the next thing is going to help you discover. It is going to be you really going back to the very beginning of tapping into you and who you are, your purpose, loving your body. All right, that is key. So this again is going to help you establish your self-care plan and assessing it, just like our needs as we age. Now we're moving into, okay, what kind of healthcare plan, which I'm not a fan of these days, but what plan do we need today to support this being that we are now, because we're different from what we were even yesterday. But let's go back 10 years. I'm a totally different person. I can't do some of the movements that I was able to do 10 years ago. I mean, if I tried, I would get hurt. So we just have to think that way and be okay with it, to be okay with it, because this self-care plan is going to change. And if you're thinking that you're going to go do somersaults at a particular time when you haven't done a somersault in years. So I had a client this morning and she said, I thought I could go play softball in my middle age and run like I used to run when I played in college. Well, what happened to her? She tore her hamstring. She was like, what was I thinking? I decided I was going to try to sprint and I haven't I haven't done a sprint in years. So we see what I'm saying? This self-care plan is going to change. And we need to address that so that we can live well and we can adapt. I love to adapt. We need to adapt to where we are right now. All right. Whew. I'm going to take a sip of water on that. And I want any of you to digest here what you are just, what you've soaked in with all of my talk. And many that know me know I can go on and on and on about this because this is my love and my passion. So moving onward to the different types of self-care, since I've already kind of like went deep into it in the prior slide, but let's look at it. So we talked about physical care, how our body's changing, our mental self-care. This is where we need to have that mental break, especially if we are really challenged with having a lot of responsibilities, and even some responsibilities that we're making up in our head, because I've done that. We all can do that, is having a mental self day, like mental self day. A day, it's almost like I was saying to somebody the other day, it's a do nothing day. I feel like I don't know when I've had a day where I've just felt like I've done nothing. Read a book day. That is going to be your self-care. And then your emotional self-care. First of all, emotional self-care starts with just being okay with your emotions. And then again, revisiting where your emotional baseline is. But just give yourself this mental and emotional support day. As you can see here, these really are falling in line with I'm going to do the mental as your spiritual, that spiritual health care day, your emotional health care day, your physical health care day. And that is just really being at ease with it. All right. But we all deserve it. And sometimes we feel that guilt if we take time out for ourselves. Go have a massage if you want a massage. Go take a 3-hour walk out in nature if that is what fills you up. And don't feel guilty. No guilt, no shame. That's our goal here, is to eradicate that out of any of our language or being. All right. So, quote of the day: your happiness matters, and taking several times for yourself is not a selfish thing. So, take time for yourself. That is going to give you the answers that you need. So we're going to wrap things up. It is coming up on, we're right on the hour. And I just want to jump to that offer that I shared that I do have. I have several ways that you can work with me. And my current is going to be a 5-month group coaching. It's virtual, where we do 1 weekly hour of live coaching calls, on-demand calls with me. So office hours. And I've opened that to any time if you need to talk. I have the guidebook that is just completed, that is literally about to go into print next week, and weekly lessons and thought-provoking, because I like the thought-provoking exercises. I'm going to have weekly movement sessions with everyone in the group, and you get your personalized health and movement strategy and nutrition as well. And also a weekend retreat experience that is going to be in person, and the date is to be determined. So this is the big one. In order to jump into this, it's just a $500 deposit. And then the remaining 5 payments, it can be a payment plan or you can pay in full, would be the $900 a month that comes to make up that balance. So I'm not really going up or down in any of the pricing. It is what it is. If you are needing some other options, I have currently, this is what is on my plate in terms of how you can engage in some work with me. I have 5 private sessions with the physical and nutrition assessment, and this will be either in person or virtual. And this is where we deep dive into personalizing your sessions for you and building that foundation based upon everything that we just talked about. And each of these would be tailored to that physical and emotional need of yours, not anybody else's. And this will be a really good kickstart. That's $497. And then I have, if you want to just do it yourself, if you want to try the guidebook and go at your pace and see if this is all you need, inside of the guidebook, I have links to actual videos. So that is where it says access to related video content. you will have access to all of that video content that comes with inside of this guidebook, and that's $97. And this is a good place to start. Everybody gets this if the other options are not where you are and you're ready for. But if you're ready for it, I am ready for you. And this group is starting November 1st and will go through the end of March. And these are ongoing. So you can purchase these at any time that you desire. So that is the presentation for today. I want to thank every one of you for taking the time to pause and listen. And for that reason, since you stayed or you listened or you put in the chat that you watched the video and you desire to get that free little something, I have a little giveaway that I'm going to be giving to anyone that pops in that chat. A little something, a little happy, and it's something that is going to have you feel good. I thought I had it right here. Well, it's a surprise, but I do have a little gift for each and every one of you, and I will wait, and that's done privately. So once I hear from you, I will connect with you, and I will send you your free gift for free. It is that. So I want to thank you so much for being here. And yes, thank you so much, Robin, for staying true to the end. And yes, I'll be sending out those gifts and reaching out to each and every one of you. So thank you, everyone, and make it a beautiful day. Find your balance. All right. Let's all stay balanced. I'm going to come off camera or stop sharing the screen and just tell you how grateful I am to have had you here in my space and for listening. And let's just all make it healthy. I want to share tomorrow. I do have another live event. It's a lunch and learn. It can also be, virtual as well. But if you are here local in the Chapel Hill, North Carolina area, I invite you to a lunch and learn. I'll be doing these every single month. Tomorrow is going to be about how do you start to find this balance in a very unbalanced holiday season. So this is going to be a little bit more, themed around how we can eliminate some of the stressors that can come with holiday. It can come from maybe mourning the loss of a loved one and missing, the times that we shared and some of the traditions that we had. Or it could just be that you're not taking care of yourself because we're going from party to party to party and eating things and drinking things that may not be the best in terms of supporting our overall health. This is what we'll be talking about tomorrow from 12 to 1 in Chapel Hill. If you're interested, please reach out. All right, on that note, I'm going to sign off. I appreciate each and every one of you, sending my love. Mwah. Let's all live well, and we'll talk soon. Bye.